audience. Our next program comes another contender from the state of Maine. This is the Adaptive Equipment Loan Program, and it's represented by Mr. Patton Williams and Kim Wallace. Gentlemen.
Thank you. I'm Kim Wallace. In a few seconds of a rugby game, Jeff's life changed forever. He was left quadriplegic and using a ventilator to breathe. Jeff was ready to go home, but had no place to go. His parents' home would not accommodate a wheelchair, and he had no accessible transportation. The Adaptive Equipment Loan Program responded quickly, financing an adapted van and home modifications. Soon, Jeff was able to graduate with a master's in engineering. Linda, the single mother of a little boy with autism who couldn't communicate, was unable to afford a computer that would help him. Linda borrowed $2,500 from the Adaptive Equipment Loan Program. With the new computer, her son broke his silence.
The Adaptive Equipment Loan Program is a government partnership that works. The loan program provides low-interest, long-term financing for adaptive equipment that assists people with disabilities. This is not a giveaway program. It enables people to pay back their loans, and it allows them to do so with their own dignity. The dollars that Maine people invested in this program has paid off immeasurably. Because of the Adaptive Equipment Loan Program, people with disabilities are staying out of institutions, living at home, working, and going to school. Restaurants, offices, churches, daycare centers now comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. People with disabilities have become an economic force in Maine. The program has made more than 900 loans, averaging $9,400 at 3.6% interest. Loans have been for hearing aids, wheelchairs, brailers, scooters, adapted skis, ramps, elevators, automatic door openers, even assistive animals. The loan program is a state program twice funded by voter-approved bond issues. It's directed by a board of 9 citizens, the majority of whom are people with disabilities, including a banker, a CPA, and government officials. The board approves all loans, balancing fiscal responsibility with meeting critical social needs. The loan program is a partnership of government and community. Alpha One and the Finance Authority of Maine co-manage the program. Alpha One, an independent living center run for and by people with disabilities, provides the information and services borrowers need to choose equipment, design a home or a business, and put together a loan package. The Finance Authority of Maine provides the program's financial services. FAME is a quasi-governmental agency that finances education and business development across Maine. FAME manages the loan fund, checks credit, reviews applications, and services all loans. The loan program is consumer-directed at all levels. Too often, poverty is a direct result of disability. People with disabilities, with fixed incomes and no credit history, can't get commercial loans. Most adaptive products cost more than other consumer goods, and Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance don't cover this equipment. The Adaptive Equipment Loan Program does. It takes a broad view of what can improve the quality of a person's life. For instance, for a Maine woman with MS, adaptive equipment was a new furnace when she could no longer safely load her wood stove.
The program's flexibility also allows loans to be structured so that they are affordable and practical for each individual. The Adaptive Equipment Loan Program is a revolving fund. As loans are paid back, money is available for other borrowers, and borrowers are paying it back. $8.5 million has been loaned so far, and just $38,000 has been written off. After seeing Maine's success, 19 other states have developed loan programs, meeting a small part of the national need. The loan program is a model for recent federal legislation. Title III of the Tech Act calls for states to develop microloan programs that will get adaptive equipment into the hands of people with disabilities. This is a significant opportunity for Maine to assist more states in implementing this proven consumer-directed model. People with disabilities created, campaigned for, and implemented this loan program. They are its strongest supporters. 98% of the borrowers consistently rate this program good to excellent. The program is an example of how government can respond with structure, not dictate a solution, to meet the need identified by citizens. The Adaptive Equipment Loan Program is also an example of how citizens can be entrusted with decisions that change people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you both. Questions here, Dr. Ridings.
Several years ago, we had a contender, a winner, that was a program out of North Carolina dealing with the adaptive changes in equipment for persons with disabilities. I don't know if you're aware of this program. It is not like yours, and I recognize that. It was a state agency that indeed came in to adapt equipment rather than purchasing a new or allowing a loan program and so forth. But I was curious whether there, a number of your activities could be done by an agency in terms of adapting the equipment itself rather than providing the loan funds for someone to purchase the equipment or to pay for adaptive use itself. Do you all have anything in the state of Maine where there is, for those instances, for example, where someone needs to adapt a van or a professional equipment that you would use in your job and so forth that would not involve the loan program?
This program has spurned a lot of purchasing power among people with disabilities that previously did not have purchasing power. As a result, there have been companies that have developed in response to the need for assistive technology. And there are several competing companies that modify vans, for example. There are computer companies that specialize in making assistive technology that responds to people with disabilities and those kinds of. So that's been happening in the private sector. And the philosophy of this program is to empower the individual with the information and the resources they need to find the solution that works particularly for them, so that they can purchase exactly what they need. And that makes them feel better about their investing and financing the tools that they need to be independent.
Thank you.
David Osborne.
Your application mentions that some banks are looking at replicating this, and you specifically refer to some discussions with Fleet Bank about possibly a regional loan program. I guess I have a two-part question. One, you've proven these are bankable loans. You have a very low default rate. Why couldn't banks do this, and have you made any progress with Fleet Bank or anybody else?
The problem for the majority of the loans that we make at the present time is, one, that we make them at very low interest rates, and we don't charge closing costs. Payments are as low as, in some cases, $20 a month. These are not economic motivators for banks to get involved in these kind of loans. That's the most significant issue in terms of turning that corner. The other problem is a number of our lenders require a lot of technical assistance in order to choose the right equipment that they need. Technical assistance doesn't come free either, and that would be another cost that would be a problem for banks to furnish. They'd have to roll those costs into loans, and we try not to do that.
And what banks would really want to do is partner with people with disabilities to help identify the resources, the technology, and provide the technical assistance necessary to help those people identify the solutions that work for them.
Luis Nogales.
What was the most difficult challenge to establishing this program?
Probably the most difficult challenge to establish this program was initially convincing the legislature of the state of Maine to put a bond issue on the ballot amongst competing interests that was not for bricks, mortar roads or other traditional bond item issues. Once they did so, there was tremendous support from voters. 67% was the highest any bond issue got in that year. And since that time, we have had support from every segment of of the state and every domain.
Is the innovation here the effort to persuade the state and the voters successfully to support an initiative to help or to assist people who otherwise would lack assistance? Is that the chief innovative? The form of financing seems rather conventional, but you're the first state to really fill this gap.
That's one of the innovations. The other innovations are the partnership of a governor-appointed board with a quasi-governmental agency and a private nonprofit organization in the community. The fact that we're doing these loans at an affordable rate, that we're using informed consumer-directed solutions rather than systems-directed solutions, and the flexibility that is inherent in the program that helps us to combat defaults. We have less than 0.5% write-off rate in this program on $8.5 million worth of financing. And I think that speaks for itself.
Good.